Finance Journal, and I want to say thank you very much. It was a 60-page read, but it did bring me up to speed. And obviously it opens a lot of doors and provides a lot of questions, but I want to stick to a couple of very poignant questions, and I want to get straight into it. In regards to the decision makers or the governments involved, what do you think their long-term strategy is in destroying the global economy?
Well, remember, these are politicians, politics, many ticks. I tell people, Google up the definition of politician, and it's someone that runs for political office, a person that's manipulative and devious, typically to gain advancement within an organization. Now, let's look at the political freaks around the world. Now they're fighting the COVID war. Every war that they start, they never have an exit strategy. They don't have one for this either. They're megalomaniacs, they're narcissists, they're psychopaths and sociopaths, they're pathological liars. They don't have a clue. One of the covers of our Trends Journal, the one before the issue that you have, it's dumb enough to believe Bush's wars, meaning George W. Bush, dumb enough to believe the COVID war. It's the people follow their leaders, and the leaders take advantage of it. Heil Hitler, march to Mussolini, salute to Stalin. Nothing has changed. Whether it's New Zealand, whether it's Australia, whether it's Spain, whether it's Italy, whether it's the United States, whether it's Canada, whether it's Germany, whether it's France, name the country, the people follow their leaders when they scare them into war. And that's what's going on now. There is no exit strategy. The other point that's very important to make is that before this happened, one of our top trends for 2020 was New World Disorder. There were protests, riots, and demonstrations going on in Hong Kong, France, Lebanon, India, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, South Africa, Algeria, one country after another. People were protesting the lack of basic living standards. Of course, in Hong Kong, it was different. It was the Chinese taking over, and they couldn't stand living under Chinese rule. But all those protests have been put down now. You're not allowed to protest anymore. So they used it for that purpose as well.
So what's their end game?
You know, what's their end game? They have none. It's a power grab. That's their end game. The end game is these psychopaths, the politicians, is more of a power grab. That's it. Again, they have no exit strategy.
And that end game includes a global currency, a global ID, forced or mandatory vaccinations. Tell me what you think it is going to see in the future with this kind of power grab.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Forced vaccinations, going to a digital currency. They're tracking everything they're tracking everything that we do. One of our other covers of the Trends Journal was Tank Man 2.0. Go back to the Tiananmen Square many years ago, and there was that guy standing in front of a tank. Well, here we are again. So our caption is, the Chinese way, you must obey. That's the world has been taken over by the Chinese way. We must obey. They will vaccinate us. They will know every penny that you spent, where you spent it. You see, Travis, these low-life, slimy scum politicians that people identify with, they don't have to worry about being out of work. They don't have to worry about their businesses going under. They steal our money in the name of taxes. So they live the high life no matter what. They have the best health care. They have the best pension programs. They don't have to worry about where their income is coming in. They steal it from us. So their game plan is control. Look, all these businesses that are going to go under in the greatest depression that we are now in. This is unprecedented in world history. I don't want to hear a word of bullshit from some slimy little lowlife piece of crap. Men, women, black, white, yellow, save your identity politics and shove it up your you-know-what. They have no strategy for what they have created by closing down the global economy. This thing is going down like nobody can possibly understand. There's not going to be a rebound. There's not going to be a V-shape. There's not going to be a U-shape recovery. It's an F-U-C-K recovery. You got it? So what I'm saying is that this thing is going down in a way, going back to the picture on what's going on, the bigs are only going to get bigger. The multinationals become greater. There are no mom and pop shops. They're gone. They're gone. They're going to keep, that's the bigger picture. Those little slimy scum pieces of murderous shit. All you have to do is look back to 2008. Here we are in America. We had that little clown guy running over here, this Bernie Sanders. I'll give you free education. I'll give you all these little people, these Bernies and these other little pieces of crap. They've been sucking off the public tit all their lives. They don't work. So anyway, they said, America's going to turn into a socialist country. Hey, garçon, they've already turned into a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich. Go back to 2008. Too big to fail. Hey, wait a minute. In capitalism, there's no such thing as too big to fail. Hey, fuck you! Don't you know who we are? We're the banksters. We're General Motors. We're General Electric. Yeah, the generals that get you killed. We'll give you their money. We'll steal the money from you, you little people working in Slavelandia. And we give it to the bigs. All right? They're doing it again. The Federal Reserve is buying junk bonds from corporations. They're doing it in every country. They're stealing your money, you little people of Slavelandia. All you are plantation workers. Get back to work. Oh, and here's the best part. Here's the best part as they take over our lives. These little boys, these little tough guys, the guys that used to try to beat me up as a kid. I'm a small guy. I'm only 5'7". So you used to have the bullies trying to beat you up. Now they're the cops. Yeah, they'll get you for social distancing not enough. Oh, they'll bust your balls for having a .0001 over the limit for drinking. Yeah, these tough guys. Oh, yeah, the SWAT teams, because you opened your shop and you weren't allowed to.
Now, can I quickly jump ahead? I want to talk to you about the reporting of COVID-19 as a cause of death not by fact, but by assumption. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. They changed the language, and if you suspect them of dying of it, then call it COVID-19. And you don't have to believe me. How about the people over there in a place called Belgium? Yeah. 96% of the deaths in elder homes, and by the way, that's who's dying, people that are chronically ill, elder care, diabetics, obesity, heart disease, lung issues. back there in Belgium, out of the 100 cases the 100% of the cases from elder care homes, they tested the grand total of 4%. 96% weren't tested. And then you look at the numbers. You know, as we're doing this, and this is going on now for 3 months, about 275,000 people have died worldwide out of a population of 7.7 billion. What are you telling me this? Yeah. Hey, how about all those people that the United States and UK and France gave money and weaponry to the people that all those Western governments love, the Saudis, to slaughter all those Yemenis, huh? Mm-hmm. Oh, there are only 10 million of them right now are suffering from starvation, Ebola, cholera disease. Forget them. Who cares about them? Hey, how about the millions that they killed over there in Iraq based on wars, based on lies? Hey, how about those Afghans? Hey, what about Libya? That guy Gaddafi got to go. We don't care who we're killing over there. Look what they've done in Syria. How about the 600,000 Syrians that have been killed thanks to the Westerners? Yeah, we got to get rid of that guy Assad. I don't like him, I'm telling you. So anyway, when you go back to the COVID numbers, they add up to nothing.
What's the inflation rate? Let's say, you know, if there's 250,000 people that have died, how much is actually, do you believe, is actually related to COVID?
Well, again, when you look at the liars and they keep saying, you know, the infection rate is a lot higher, the cases. It's way, way beyond that. Well, okay, if the cases are way beyond that, then that death rate should be also way beyond that. So how much is that number? Let's call it the number that it is. At the number that it is, it adds up to nothing. Hey, how about those 9 million people that died last year of air polluted related disease? How about all the poisons that they're putting in our food? You like those pesticides? No, I know. You're a GMO fan. You like those chemicals. How about those artificial flavors and all of that artificial coloring in your food? I know you like the tons of poisons that they're pumping into the earth, and into our water and into our air and into that is much, much better than that COVID. Look how they're killing us every day. How about Big Pharma, huh? Keep taking them things, man. Yeah. So they're killing us in so many different ways. This is nothing. It is a power grab from the power freaks. And again, the people march to Mussolini, Heil Hitler, salute to Stalin, bow down to Conte over there in Italy, and take out that O and stick a U in it, because that's who that little boy is. And look at how the people bend. Look at how they follow them.
So we're going to come out of isolation at some point, right? And obviously some restrictions are going to be alleviated and some are going to be kept in place. What are those restrictions that are going to stay in place do you think the global citizens willing to accept, so he can have right to assemble, so he can have right to have contact with his friends?
Oh, they'll make us wear masks. They'll have us tested. They're doing it already. They'll know everywhere you've gone. They'll know your temperature. They'll know who you were with. We got the Stasi in control. Again, it's the Chinese way. You will obey. We'll know everything that you're doing. You're going to go into a restaurant. We got your temperature. We know where you were. They've taken the joy, freedom, and fun out of life. One of our top trends in 2019, geeks in control. Mm-hmm. We went on to say that the King James Bible got it wrong. It's not the meek shall inherit the earth. The geeks have inherited the earth. It's geek control. They know everything that we're doing. And by the way, just to make this clear, that's how it started in the United States. The first people to told people to work from home were Alphabet, Microsoft,
Macintosh.
Apple.
Yeah.
Yep. So they were the ones. Now, just to put that into perspective, in San Francisco Valley, that whole area, San Francisco, as we're talking, about 25 people have died from the coronavirus.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. These are these little geeky boys. Hey, what a tough guy that Cook is, huh? From Apple. Huh? Oh, look at that Zuckerberg. How about a Fuckerberg? Look at these little boys. Look at them with a pair of cojones smaller than a moth. That's the kind of balls they have. And they're the ones that have freaked everybody out. And now they're giving, now the Googles and the Alphabets, the Googles and the Apples and all the other ones, oh, we're working together now so we can track you. We know what you're doing. We know what your temperature is. We know everything that you've done. The people are going to accept it. That's what the future will look like. We are going to turn into a geek world of passionless, soulless people. This is a grade B movie that you couldn't make up, and I'll give you the proof of it. The first thing that everyone did at a theater in hysteria was to run out and go buy toilet paper. You can't make this shit up.
So obviously there's this data privacy mission creep that you're talking about. Obviously these companies trying to track us. Where do you think that'll be by 2030 in regards to how much they'll know?
They'll know everything. They'll be inside your home. They'll be inside your life. They'll be inside your body. It's gone. It's over. Look, people are already addicted to these things. I don't carry a cell phone. I know about radio frequency radiation. I did work for the Cellular Telecommunications Industry Association back in 1990s when they had these big things in the back of trunks with aerials. I've been following this since. I know how deadly they are. So people are already addicted to these things. And by the way, you know why they call them handhelds? Because everybody's jerking off in public. They've already become addicted to them. So what I'm saying is, where we're going to be in 3030, it's the world of the geeks. The geeks have inherited the earth. There's no fighters out there. It's planet pussy. There's no men fighting. You're not allowed to fight, by the way, in America. We have no bullying zones. You won't learn how to protect yourself. I'm not making this shit up. That's what they do in school.
I wanted to ask you what you thought about YouTube and Vimeo cancelling or banning broadcasts like London Real and things like David Icke's interviews. What do you think about that?
Well, again, we've been writing about this for years. Censorship 2.0. This is nothing new to us. We're a magazine. We look to the future, trends. I've been at this for 40 years. And I don't say this in a bragging way. I say it in a factual way. If anybody has the amount of books that I've written on trends, a magazine that's been being written since 1991, and the facts that we've been putting out there, show it to me. We've been warning about censorship 2.0 for years, and it's in front of us. The monopolies have taken over. You asked before, what will be the fallout of this? I said the multinationals will get bigger, everybody else will get smaller, and all we are plantation workers on the global plantation of Slavelandia. They've taken control of our lives. It's in the numbers. They're monopolies. And all the politicians just do what they're told because they get paid. Morons and imbeciles call them campaign contributions. Adults call it bribes and payoffs.
You've been in the industry obviously for 20, 30, 40 years, predicting these kind of trends. What do you do now? What is your game plan? What is your get out of jail card?
Well, the one I'm looking for another country to go to
Well,
at
you're in
some point.
America. I mean, it's not the best place to be at the moment, right?
No. And where I am, I'm in such a beautiful place. I'm in Kingston, New York. We're 90 miles north of New York. I own 3 of the most historic buildings in America. And I bought them because I launched Occupy Peace from there. It's the only 4 corners in America with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. We're in the foothills of the Catskill Mountains. It's beautiful up here. And now it's dead. It's dead. You got morons walking around with masks on in the middle of nowhere. I watch people drive with their windows up with masks on. Grow the fuck up. What are you doing? So, what's my game plan? Guns, gold, and a getaway plan. Because we're going to see crime go through the roof. And the reason I bought those 3 buildings, I was looking to leave the country before. Back in 2010, when we had the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner that everybody loved, Barack Obama. Yeah, look what he did to Syria, Libya, on and on. Troop surge in Afghanistan, another little lying piece of garbage crap. Anyway, I was in Berlin, we were opening the Trends Journal there, and I'd never been there before. And Berlin was grander than Paris before it was bombed out. And I spent a lot of time in Paris and dated a wonderful woman for many years, Marie-Pierre. Anyway, when I'm in Berlin, I said, this is grander than Paris before it was bombed out. Because I'm looking across the street at a beautiful German building and everything new. And I noticed everywhere they drove me around, I saw the same thing, beautiful and all new. I said, how could they let this happen? The Germans were at the height of Western civilization in the 30s, culturally, scientifically, philosophically. How can they look up to a clown like Hitler? And I realized, as being an Italian, the same, I'm thinking of the great German names, Bach, Beethoven, Wagner, and the Italians, Puccini, Rossini, Michelangelo, Da Vinci. How can they look up to a Mussolini? And I came back and there was a for sale sign on one of those historic buildings. And it went up when I was away. And I said to myself, I can't run away. There are 2-bit freaks everywhere. This is my country. I'm me because I'm a Napolitano, born in the Bronx. Born to be free. Born to be who I want to be. And I got these people telling me I have to follow their orders. Come over here and tell me to follow a man to man. This is my country. Love it or leave it? No, you leave it. That's why I bought these buildings. Because I would not be me if I was born in Altavilla Pino, Vica Quenz. I was me because I was born in America. And boy, was I born to be free. I'm a kid. Again, in the Bronx. Trying to get beat up by guys. Go home crying. Learn how to fight. Don't come home crying. And I had my own school in close combat for many years. You learned when I'm a kid and I'm talking to my father about blah, blah, blah. He'd look at me and give me a disgusted look. In Italian, he'd say to me, Papagallo, parrot, stop repeating what everybody else is saying and think for yourself. That was the America I was born into. When I'm a little kid, my mother, may her soul rest in peace, may all their souls rest in peace, a situation would happen. And she'd say to me, and I didn't know what happened, I hate cowards. And when I heard enough about I hate cowards and learned what a coward was, I wouldn't be a coward. I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate at 25 years old. It was the worst job I ever had. I watched cowards, people bowing down and sucking up to get up. So when I say to you, I love the country for what it represented, and I know the terrible things, the genocide, and on and on. I have to tell you in Australia about that. You know, every country. But there was also a thing called the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. And that's what I believe in.
So are you going to stay in America? Are you going to stand your ground, or are you going to fly?
Oh, I fight. Are you kidding? I'm out there fighting all the time. As I say to Cuomo, come over here, boy. Tell me I have to get vaccinated. Try to vaccinate me. No, no, no. Leave your goons behind. Come man to man and try to fight me. Try to put that mask on me, Junior. I call them out. Do they show up? No. Will I put a mask on? No. Will I get vaccinated? No. So, when it comes to a point where I can't have joy and beauty in my life, I'll go somewhere else.
Any ideas where?
You know.
Or that top secret?
No, no. Well, one of the countries I respect for what they did was Sweden. They didn't lock down. Yeah. And, you know, as an Italian guy, I like those blonde girls, you know.
Now, Trends Journal, all 61 or 2 pages of it.
It's a weekly, too.
I don't know how you output so much data, but it's impressive. But it paints quite a grim picture for the future. Is there anything rosy on the horizon you can sort of share with us? Is there anything good coming up at all?
Yes. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men. It's time for an evolution. It's time for the people that want freedom, liberty, and beauty and love to fight for it. And I don't mean violently. Think about it. This is not a plague, but there was a thing called the Black Plague. What happened? A renaissance. Looking back, a rebirth. The people got it in their heads that what they were doing was killing them. Alla Romana alla Antica, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients, to describe the quality of the work that they were creating. It's a time for a renaissance. It's a time to bring back the beauty and joy of what the human spirit has inside of it that's been stolen from us. That's the only high point I can see. And again, as you can see, I go from, you know, crying my eyes out, thinking about the loss of what we have, to I'll slit your fucking throat if you screw with me. Because I'm a Napolitano. And we're different.
And you make the best pizza in the world, so we'll give you that.
That's who we are. And you know why we're like that? Because Naples was the richest port in the world for centuries. And we had every country coming in there trying to kill us, to take it over. So we learned how to fight. And that's what the people have to do. They have to fight for their freedom. You don't follow a leader. You're your own leader. I'm a leader. I wasn't put on this earth to take orders. I don't give them. I don't take them. It's up to the people to fight for their freedom. As I told you, you know, in growing up, how lucky and blessed I was to come from the family I came from. My father, you know, you get in a fight with your father. And you're screaming and yelling. And he'd say to me, you little bastard. He'd say, you think I'm telling you what I'm telling you because I want you to be like me? I want you to become yourself. That's what people have to become, themselves. Think for yourself. Because, you know, one of the great when with the critical care nurses, they say that when the greatest regret the dying people have is that they didn't live the lives that they should have lived and be who they wanted to be, taking jobs that they took for security, not because they loved them. So the people have to really get into their own spirit. And the other thing is to get in the best shape you can, physically and spiritually. And the first book I worked on was Natural Healing back in the mid-1980s. And I have an honorary doctorate from the National University of Health Sciences. And spiritually, I mean, to me, death, hell, is knowing, hell for me would be knowing that I wasn't the person I said I was or could have been. And that's not going to be me. So be the person that you want to be. Because to me, that's what hell is dying and knowing you didn't live the life that you could have lived to be the highest person you could have been. And just to make it clear, it's a growing process. I'm not the guy I used to be. When I told you I worked, I was the chief government affairs specialist for the chemical industry in the 70s, killing environmental legislation.
Ouch.
Yeah. But had I not done that, I've been with Ronald Reagan for an hour and a half, hired him 2 days before he's announcing he's running for president against Gerald Ford when I was the #2 guy running a chemical association. I wouldn't be that guy if I didn't live those points of life and learn from them. I wouldn't know what the other side looks like if I wasn't on the other side. So it's a growing process. I'm not the same person I was. None of us.
How do we get the 90% or the 95% that aren't on the same wavelength as you as I to break their own mold and to become part of a global collective, to fight back and to refuse this? How do we do that?
You don't need them. All you need is the 10%. They'll follow. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men, said Samuel Adams. And they're the revolutionaries. All you need is a small group. Look how easy they follow. Look at the freaks that they follow. You give them another message of a higher order, they'll follow it.
And is that what you're doing? Do you feel like you're trying to put that message out there so that people like ourselves can follow and create an example for the masses?
Exactly. You create the example by being your own example. And again, I want to make it, like I love when they find out, when he was in high school, he did this, when he was in college. Again, you're growing up. Get over it. You move forward. It's by each of us moving higher in any level that we can. And again, when you look at the people that are dying from the COVID, elderly that are chronically ill, these are the facts. These are the facts. I don't want to hear, I know somebody that knows somebody. I don't want to hear it. I go by the numbers. Chronically ill elderly, obese, diabetics, people suffering from lung disorders, respiratory ailments, and heart diseases.
They've already checked out, basically.
Exactly. Now, think about it. America, our obesity rate is 42%. The 70% are overweight. You think you're going to die? You ever hear the expression, pigs can't fly? You've been to the airport lately? The pigs are flying. Look what the people have become. As they're in this lockdown, look at the numbers. You know what they're eating? More canned crap, macaroni and cheese, Domino's pizza. Sales are up. What Italian would eat Domino's pizza? That's how bad it's gotten. So what I'm saying is that the people have to rise to a higher level. Again, none of us are perfect. We're far from it. But the higher we go individually, it's the 100th monkey.
Obviously, we're 7.7 billion people on this planet. We've exhausted the resources we have through our excessive lifestyle. Do you think maybe whether COVID exists or not, do you think that this is just Mother Nature biting back and saying, enough is enough, we need to balance the figures, maybe even half the population so we can actually have a balanced environment?
Well, yes or no. I mean, I don't know if the population. When I say we're going into the greatest depression, just to put it into perspective, when the Great Depression hit 90 years ago, we had 2.2 billion. We've added 5.7 billion people in 90 years. Yes, we're well overpopulated. And when I say it's going to be the greatest depression, and I mentioned all those riots and demonstrations that were going on before because of inequality, not having basic living standards, now with the economy going down more, or more of the geeks giving us AI and robotics, more jobs will be out of place. You're going to see more poverty, more hunger, more pandemics of the real higher order, not the COVID-19. Yes, it'll be a washing out of society, but there's something even more dangerous than this. History is repeating itself. When I mentioned the Great Depression, what was going on back then? There were currency wars going on back then. There were trade wars going on back then. Oh, remember the United States and their allies stopping the sale of oil to a place called Japan? Oh, remember that was the Pearl Harbor? Currency war, trade war, Great Depression, World War II. Hey, we're in a currency war. Those Chinese, right? They're lowering their yuan so they could export more product. Trade war with those Chinese, oh yeah. Greatest depression, we're in it. World War III, far deadlier than any pandemic and a much greater annihilation of the population. They asked Albert Einstein, the cat that knew a little thing about the atomic bomb, what weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know. He said, they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth. Yeah, that's the wipeout.
Yeah.
And this is real. It's happening in front of us. Just as, look how easy it is for countries to march off to war.
And in your journal, you talked about how the American defense budget has only dropped by 1% in this period.
Yep. And now, what was that place where the Australians went to in World War I where they all got wiped out? And what strait was that called?
Ah, Gallipoli.
Yeah, wasn't that wonderful, huh? Wasn't that beautiful? Oh, and it was well worth the price of all those dead people that they slaughtered for nothing. All right? Now, when you look, I was a keynote speaker at Virginia Military Institute, VMI, in 2000. When I came out, my book, Trends 2000, came out, international best-selling book. They brought me there to talk about New Millennium Warfare. There's a line, generals are always fighting the last war. These aren't the brightest cats in the world. This is going to be new weaponry, hypersonic weaponry, biological warfare, cyber warfare. Poof, wiped out like that, blown apart like that. Look at the people that are leading us. So when you ask about a pandemic, to me, that's my greatest fear. Look at what the hell are Australians doing in Iraq, or Americans doing in Afghanistan, or French doing in
Mali.
Mali. Oh, yeah. Couldn't be because they like that colonization and they can't get it out of their blood. Or maybe it's the uranium they need right over there in Niger, right next door, and taking over that whole area again, because don't they have more nuclear power than anywhere else in the world? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, Travis, my greatest fear as a trend forecaster is World War III. And when all else fails, they take you to war.
So I have some land in Tasmania. You might know it. It's an island just off the south of Australia. Big green area, apparently the cleanest air in the whole world. I have about 90 acres down there. When World War III kicks off, just come down in a boat. You don't need to call me. Just knock on my door and I'll give you a place to stay, refuge.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And I mean, just keep doing what you're doing because more people need to hear.
And everybody, please keep you doing what you're doing. And everyone rise to the level that will bring us liberty, love, joy, and beauty. Because without life, life's not worth living. Without that kind of, and rather than the fear and hysteria. One of our trends journals was that when this broke out, was COVID, coronavirus, 9/11, spreading terror. And that's what they're doing. This is another upgrade of 9/11. Just like they robbed us of all our freedoms back then, now they've doubled down on it. So really, we could change this around. Why not have a renaissance? Remember, art is the way of finding the true meaning of the human spirit. And we bring back the art of life, whether it's in the food that we eat, the paintings that we draw, the music that we listen to, and the beauty that surrounds us. That's the future for us, and that's the future for me. So thank you for having me on, and thanks for all that you're doing.